Syria, a war-torn country located in the heart of the Middle East. The country has suffered from a tyrant regime that has killed, raped, bombed its own people for 14 years. All sorts of weapons were used, from tanks to airplanes to illegal chemical weapons and illegal bombardment of the innocent people. Russia, Iran, the Syrian regime all collaborated in the destruction of entire cities, flattening and carpet bombing any area that goes against the regime, turning entire cities into wasted badlands. To enter Syria, you need to fly to Beirut Rafik Hariri Airport in Lebanon. Then you need to cross the border to Syria through multiple exits on the borders, which at that time only 2 were open. But first, we had to go through the Lebanese mountains, which were very beautiful. The roads were insane. The snow was melting on the sides of the road and on the mountains as summer was approaching. And it was just a fun ride, but a bit too long. We took a shorter way to get to Syria, and still it took us around 5.5 hours to get home. Now, you might not know this, but my dad's Syrian, my mum's English, and I hadn't stepped foot in Syria for over 13 years. Because I was wanted for the army. An army that was made to kill its own people. So I left. Back then I was at high school, and I was already meant to come back to the UK to do my degree and study here. So I just continued with my plan. But I got out before shit hit the fan. We make it to the Syrian border, and as you can see, all the pictures of the old Assad president have been removed and anything related to him. But at the same time, you might be thinking now and wondering, how is he filming? How can he film if it's a tyrant regime? Well, this specific footage is from my second trip, which was after the regime was overthrown by the new government. So now you can film. But the spearfishing footage that's going to come up, that was from 2023, before the regime had been overthrown, which was in 2024, the end of 2024. You might be wondering how I was able to get in at that time. Well, because I had to bribe my way in. I paid around 10k to be able to not join the army and not kill my own people. And the reason I had to go was for my dad, to see him. So I ended up doing that, and a year after, the country was liberated and no one has to pay the 10k anymore. So I was basically ripped off. Now you're going to witness some areas that we went through. These areas were absolutely demolished to the ground, like there's no one living in them. Probably, I highly doubt there's anyone living except for a few buildings that haven't fallen. Absolutely crazy. And most of the people from these areas are all in camps and living in tents until this day. Entire areas fully destroyed by the bombardment. This area that you can see is literally called Harasta. It's literally one town or one city outside of Damascus. And it was entirely carpet bombed by the regime, the old Syrian regime, the help of Russia, Iran. Hezbollah was also bombing Syria, but not in this area, in a different area. And just wanted to give you a little insight of my trip before getting into spearfishing. Anyway, I get into the water after the hassle of getting something called like a sea passport, where I had to bribe the a military group in the port to be able to get that, so I can go into the water on a boat. Anyway, with the help of my friend, I sorted all of that out, and he gave me an 80 centimeter spear gun. I didn't dare bring a spear gun with me, or you never know what might have happened back then. This is the Mediterranean, and it was absolutely infested with lionfish, so we decided to take them. At the beginning, I didn't want to take any. I was waiting for groupers or other types of fish, because lionfish, they just sit there, they do nothing. You can take them whenever you want. But after some time of not seeing much, we started taking the lionfish, especially my mate. He absolutely annihilated them. Now, the best way to dispatch a lionfish is to grab it from its head first of all. And you have to be careful because the spikes, it's one of the most poisonous fish in the ocean. So you really need to be careful. As you can see, I'm trying my best to just grab it from its head. Drop my knife here. Finally grab it from its head and start taking the spikes off. Dispatch the fish first so it can't move much. And then start removing the poisonous spikes. On this dive, I go back down to a hole that was holding some lionfish that I had seen in the dive before, and I take a shot, but I miss the fish completely. I wasn't used to the 80 centimeter spear gun with 2 bands on it. I've never speared with that. Like, I've not speared with a gun that size for over 10-11 years. I was a bit unfamiliar with the spear gun, and obviously with a gun like that I had to get really close, otherwise the spear would go in different directions. I think it was because of the 2 bands on it, but also I didn't want to put just 1 band, and in case a grouper comes out or another fish where I need, you know, that bit of range or power. So yeah, it is what it is. On the next dive, I go back down and I notice there's a few of them just sitting on the reef doing nothing, and I decide to take another one, which was quite a good size. You can see my mate going down after me to get more, and his stringer was absolutely full of them. He was just shooting them right, left and centre. You can see him coming up with one. we decided to change spots and we go to a different location where I thought I would hold on the lionfish. I didn't want to take any more. I just wanted to see what else is there around here. Like, the sea was destroyed. I can't even explain. There was no fish at all because of the old regime's policy. You can bribe the old government and use dynamite in the water. Poison dynamite, which kills fish right, left, and center. Like, there's a specific radius of effect these dynamites have, and then the fish just float after that and they gather it from the surface of water. And this was allowed during the old regime time. So there was no control on fishing. Even nets, the sizes, there was no control. There was no control on fish sizes, what you're allowed and what you're not allowed to get. Even till this day now, to be honest, there is better controls in place, but it's still not where it's meant to be. So that's why there was not much fish. I saw these nice parrotfish. One of them was around 1.5 kilos probably, but the spear gun that I had was too small and I couldn't really get them in range. If I had my 105 or 110, I would have easily gotten them from this distance, but I didn't want to risk tearing the fish or missing it with that small one. On my final dive of the day, I take a really nice breath and I go down to the bottom looking for groupers in the rocks, because they don't really come out that much because of the extreme fishing that happens in these areas. Most of the times they might be hiding in caves, rocks, reef, but I see this big black fish just there in front of me. And I realised that's a good sized grouper. It was a mottled grouper. But again, too far, and it was moving in the opposite direction. Turns around, gives me a nice look. If I had my 110, I would have got it there and then. I could have even taken a shot now, but I had my 85 centimeter spear gun and there was no way I was going to get it from that distance. No way. And unfortunately, it wouldn't come closer, so I tried closing the gap. Could have even taken it here if I had a 110, but yeah, couldn't close that gap on it. And I just let it swim away. It went into a hole. I chased it back down to check if I can get it in the hole, but I had no luck. A year afterwards, a couple months after the new regime had taken over the old one, yeah, it was easier to get in the water, and we decided to go out jigging for a day to let some steam off, as I was absolutely busy on that trip with lots of different things. So we decided to go out again with a friend of mine called Talib, and yeah, we had a bit of fun, but there wasn't much even jigging. And it was a toadfish. Now, toadfish are really invasive in the Mediterranean, alongside lionfish, but these guys have teeth sharper than freaking sharks, and they cut through your line easily. They take jigs, and just in this situation, he was quite lucky. He got it from its tail, so that's why we thought it might be something else, as it didn't move at all. But unfortunately, it was a toadfish. My other mate ended up getting another one. Again, our hopes were high, but it ended up being another toadfish. And another one. Anyway, we didn't get anything else, so thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.